Welcome to Wilmington, North Carolina, and today we're going to talk about all the pros and all the cons. So the good, the bad, the ugly. Stay tuned.
My name is Jake Wyer.
And I'm Lexi Wyer.
And we're with the Wyer Group. And we have actually done this video a couple times over the years. And it by far is the most requested that we redo this and keep it kind of relevant. And so that's why we're here today, is to kind of give this a revamp on today. This area is growing so insanely fast that it really deserves a refreshed video every couple years.
It does. It does. The growth is tremendous around here, which is a pro to some people like us coming from larger areas and a major con to a lot of locals.
Yeah, I mean, it's expanding. It's one of the fastest growing areas in the country. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So let's just jump right into the pro list. There's a lot to love about Wilmington. And I mean, we obviously moved cross country to be here for a lot of reasons. And I think the biggest thing that people think about when they think about Wilmington is the coastal lifestyle, right?
Absolutely.
So we have some gorgeous beaches here. We have Wrightsville Beach, we have Topsail Beach, Carolina Beach, Holden Beach. There's just numerous beaches up and down. Some of them are south facing, some of them are east facing. They're all beautiful though. They really are. And they all have their own kind of character to them.
Absolutely. They're very different.
And I would say with that beach lifestyle, there's of course surfing, there's kids collecting seashells, there's all that kind of stuff. But there's also a huge boating culture here as well.
Absolutely. So just to give you guys an idea, it is March 26th today, and we went boating for the first time of the season a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So,
which is insanely early for all the northern people out there. It's a very long boating season, I guess.
Yeah, and it was a gorgeous day. We weren't swimming, but it was beautiful out.
And kind of the cool thing is we do have a lot of shallow water here, but you have the intercoastal, so you can really kind of have a nice calm lake-like day, I guess, with kids and things like that. Or you can, if you really want to be adventurous, head on out to the open water and go to the Gulf Stream and go fishing for marlin.
Yeah, get some fishing done.
Yeah, so you have all those options. So coastal, I think, is probably the number one thing about this area that people think about.
Right, so while we're talking about that coastal lifestyle, we did just mention the weather. The fact that early March we were boating, we were on the water. Our winters here are very mild, so I think that's another pro, is just the the mild climate.
We're hitting our northerner folks here, especially coming out. I know they just got a little flurry yesterday, I heard. So it really is a mild winter. It's been a couple years since we've actually had snow here, and when we do get it, it's just like a light dusting. The whole town shuts down because there's not one piece of snow equipment really here. And so if there's even a hint that there will be snow, the schools are out, work's out, everybody stays home. So it's quaint, I suppose. It's like the whole town shuts down if they think there's gonna get some snow.
Yep.
And if they do, it's like I said, it's a little dusting, and then it melts within 24 hours or less.
Yes.
So that being said, yeah, if you want mild winters, this 100% has mild winters here. So that is absolutely a pro for a lot of folks.
And what goes along with this kind of mild temperatures year round is that there are events and things going on, I mean, really year round.
There is, yeah.
Definitely more in the summer, of course. Memorial Day to Labor Day is our tourist season, so that is when it gets very busy and there's lots of events, lots of really fun stuff going on. But you could still find things to do in the winter as well.
Yeah, no, I would say another pro would be that is there's just a lot of things going on here. I think it's not rural, it's not necessarily a big city, but there's events, there's music, there's a really lively music scene here.
And that is something that has changed. Well, I think that there's always been a lively music scene here locally. However, we are starting to get some larger names in since the Live Oak Bank Pavilion opened a couple years ago. Yeah. Now we're starting to pull bigger attractions, and there's really a lot more going on now, especially compared to when we moved here about 8 years ago.
Yeah, and there is some talk about bringing in some minor league teams and things like that. So the sporting is going to be more than just the college right now. UNCW is really like the pull for sports right now here. So if you want to get your basketball fix or your baseball fix, that you have to go watch a college team, which is awesome too.
You know, college teams are really fun to watch. Yeah. While we do not have like a professional football team or basketball team or anything, that college culture and that hometown pride is really something to talk about.
Yeah, and I would say another thing that really drew us here is the pace of life here. I mean, it was a huge pro for us as far as slowing down a little bit. And I think part of that has to do with that it's coastal, but the other part of it is it's Southern. I mean, there is something to be saying about that Southern charm, and a lot of that has to do with the pace of life.
Well, and I think the pace of life has a lot to do with the cost of living. So I think the number one pro in this video, yes, is the cost of living. While, I mean, and I guess that is something that is, you know, perspective.
It's relative.
It is relative to everyone. Coming from California, we were very thrilled with the pricing here.
Yeah, and it has increased, and I know a lot of my folks have been keeping an eye on the prices here, and they've been looking at for several years, and it has increased significantly because of the growth and the interest in the area. So of course, supply and demand, prices come up. But overall, I would say that it's still a very affordable place to live, which, like you said, translates to you can spend more time with your family. You can spend more time doing the things you love. You can, you know, you just have a little bit more time, and you're not going to be sitting at the desk for as many hours to make the bills.
Right, and also it is a stable investment still. With all this growth happening, our property values are increasing. So while it's not as increasing as rapidly as it was before, we're still seeing appreciation, and it's still a smart investment.
Okay, so this is the part that people wanted to hear, was probably the negative pieces of Wilmington, and it takes usually a little bit of living here to really appreciate some of the bad parts of Wilmington.
Okay, top 4 negative things, go.
Top 4 negative things. I would say the summers. I know you're gonna say the summers are amazing, and they are. It's a beach town, but the humidity and the bugs during the summertime was a huge adjustment for us. We say they have very mild winters here, they do, but they also have very humid summers. And so for a few months out of the year, it's very wet, very humid, and there are mosquitoes and there are no-see-ums in the evening and at dusk. So, you know, it kind of keeps you indoors a little bit more. You definitely want to have that DEET on.
Well, what we were looking at when we first moved here, when we were kind of weighing the pros and cons, was yes, July and August are very hot and humid. Yeah. There's a lot of bugs, but most places you're going to have like a couple months out of the year that maybe aren't your favorite. Yeah. Budget pest control, that's a thing.
100% have pest control.
Yes.
And you want some bug spray when you're out and about in the evenings and the mornings.
Yes.
So number 2, I would say is, to us, this is perspective again, is traffic. Now, there is some geographical limitations to this area because of the amount of water we have, which is also one of the pros, is all the water. But unfortunately, DOT is not able to keep up with the road systems and have a bunch of options, because we do have a major body of water on each side of Wilmington. You have the Cape Fear River, and then you have the Atlantic Ocean bookcasing most of Wilmington.
Well, I think DOT in most areas is more on the reactive side instead of the proactive side.
Well, yeah. And Department of Transportation is what we're talking about, just in case anybody isn't unaware of the aggravation of DOT, but that's what we're talking about here. And honestly, again, it's perspective. So we lived in California, in Southern California, and the traffic was horrendous. And it was horrendous for long periods of the day, pretty much throughout the week. Here, you do have some commuter traffic, and it does slow down, and I would say that the road system needs to be improved greatly.
But I will say, in the 8 years that we have been here, we have seen lots of projects.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot going on. They really are trying to, you know, improve the infrastructure.
Underpasses, overpasses, bypasses, turn lanes, all these things they're putting in right now.
Yeah, I don't think anyone anticipated the amount of growth. Of course, you know, coming out of COVID and that kind of thing, I just don't think anybody knew.
I would agree with that. And then, all right, let's go with the next thing. Traffic is traffic, and it's going to get worse the more people get here. They're trying to keep up with the road system.
All right, so number 3 is this is a hurricane-prone area.
That is always actually number 1 question for people. When they call us and they're thinking about moving to this area, they ask about hurricanes and insurance and damages.
And if you are not familiar with hurricanes, I will tell you, coming from a native Utahn, where we do not have them, I will say I was the only one in the grocery store, like, stocking up on soup, and everyone else was at the liquor store stocking up to have a party. I think I was the only one in the state who, like, really took it seriously.
It's called a hurricane party. We found that out our first hurricane. Everybody goes to the ABC store, invites the neighbors over, they're grilling, they're drinking. That's and watching the rain come down.
Well, most of the time, it's not a huge concern.
No, most of the time it comes in as a tropical storm. It gets downgraded, or it misses completely, and you've been prepping for 4 days.
Right. Not to say, though, that it isn't something that still is serious, and you should be prepared for. So some of the things that we can talk about being prepared for is you probably do not want to live in a flood zone. And when walking your property, when you're thinking about purchasing it, I would look at things like, you know, leaning trees, dead trees, things like that that might be problematic in a windstorm, the age of the roof, fencing, things like that.
Yeah, there's things that you can prep for, definitely. And that's, so I'm coming from California, so I'm used to earthquakes. There's zero prepping for that. It comes and you don't know what's coming. Here, you have almost too much time to prep. And so you're getting gas, you're getting groceries, you're getting you're going to the ABC store. You're doing all these things that it's 4 days of good prepping, and then half the time it just doesn't become anything. But when it does, you need to be prepared.
Right.
That being said, our last major hurricane, this is 2024 right now, our last major hurricane was 2018 Florence, and it wrecked the place. It really did. And that was the only one that we've really seen that did some significant damage since we've been here for 7 years.
Right. So on that note, another thing to be prepared with, you could budget in and plan for to have a whole home generator, and that would make all the difference. We were without power for what, 8 or 9 days?
Yeah.
Some areas, I think, you know, give or take a couple days.
Yeah.
A whole home generator would have made all of the difference for anyone without power during that time.
And this goes out to the linemen. We appreciate you all.
Absolutely.
They come,
absolutely. They're heroes.
Yeah, they come swarming to the areas that are affected, and they have things up and running faster than you can possibly imagine. So
I will say though, after Hurricane Florence, I have never experienced a community coming together to help each other. It was incredible.
That goes back to the Southern thing.
Oh my gosh,
there's
it
something
was
to be
incredible.
said. Yeah, there was neighbors taking care of neighbors. That was
Absolutely.
definitely a thing. Okay, so that's hurricanes. I mean, we have hurricanes here. that's a big negative. All right, so then we talked about traffic. We talked about our humidity and our bugs. We talked about our hurricanes. What's our number 4 negative for the area?
Well, and this is perspective again. I would say a huge con for a lot of the locals here is the growth. Some people are really fighting it. Others are pretty excited about it.
If you jump on one of the community pages, there is definitely a split of opinion on this. We could personally expect a little more growth and enjoy that. We like that idea. It could be a little bit larger of an area. A lot of the locals and people that have been here for a very long time remember this being a complete sleepy beach town, are kind of against any kind of additional growth on the area.
Well, I mean, let's just put it out there. This place is a hidden gem. Well, not so hidden anymore, but it was. And I think a lot of people really want to kind of just keep that to themselves. But it is, I mean, it's not hidden anymore.
But the flip side of that is, and I always say this to a lot of my folks, is there's so much space around Wilmington. Brunswick County is enormous. Hampstead, Pender County, all that stuff is still super undeveloped. You can be right outside the city, 20 minutes outside the city, and you're in the middle of the forest.
Right.
So you could plan ahead for this a little bit and be just slightly outside of Wilmington and be very rural.
Right, and I would say the community here as well, because there are so many people moving and so many transplants, it's really easy to make friends, and people really are so friendly.
I would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are considering this area and you do like the area in general, there are a lot of options to be in the city or outside the city and variations thereof. But if you have questions about specific areas, like I brought up Brunswick County, I brought up Pender County, we do have about 100 plus videos on our channel. Go to that. It's all about Wilmington and the surrounding areas. We talk about a lot of the communities, a lot of the problems, a lot of the events. We kind of cover everything.
Right, and if you have specific questions too, we would absolutely love to hear from you. So reach out to us anytime. If you just want to talk to someone that has made the cross-country move, we have a family here. We talk to lots of people every single day. So if you have specific questions, please reach out because we would love to hear from you.
And if you guys like this video, give us that thumbs up, hit that bell, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified about content just like this. And we look forward to hearing from you guys.
Talk to you soon.